It's the Sick Show. It's the Sick Show.
It's the Sick Show.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Hey, if you tuned in last time, we talked about the power of moving forward. Even in small steps. On today, I want to dive into what comes next. How to gain momentum after a setback. 'Cause let's be honest, life knocks us down sometimes. Whether it's a job loss, a breakup, health crisis, or just life not going as we planned. Setbacks can feel like we're hitting a brick wall at full speed. But here's the truth. You can come back, and not only that, you can come back stronger. And I can think of multiple times in life where life has knocked me down, knocked others down, and they turned it around and got back up and moved forward. So let's talk a little bit about how, and it's this podcast is titled Momentum After the Fall, Rebuilding After a Setback. So I want to talk a little bit about, setbacks are part of the story. And first things first, I think we need to normalize it. Setbacks are not failures. They're more of a detour or a redirect. Sometimes even a wake-up call. That smack in the face. Mike Tyson talks about everybody's got a plan until you get hit in the mouth. Well, everyone goes through it. Those entrepreneurs, who lost their first 3 companies or, failed in the first few tries. The artist whose gallery show was a flop, or the persons whose marriage ended after, years and years of trying. Setbacks, they don't mean you're broken. They mean you're human. And, the key difference between those who stay stuck and those who rise again is momentum. And that begins the moment you choose to stop focusing on what happened and start focusing on what's coming next. And, looking forward to that next goal, that next piece. What I think we focus so much on that setback that it makes it difficult for us to move forward and see the potential in what's next. And there's a reason why setbacks steal our energy. Setbacks don't just hurt us; they drain us. They chip away at our confidence. The questions that start arising. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not who I thought I was. Maybe I'll never achieve that. Whatever it is, we hopefully we get that moment of clarity of what now? What if it happens again? The clarity of what now and the courage of what if it happens again. And so what if it happens again? So what? Then what? I mean, who's really in charge of what happens again? That internal dialogue can freeze you in place. We get this loser's limp of sorts, and we start asking questions like, why'd this happen to me? What did I do wrong? What's even the point of trying again? And those questions are draining. They will suck the energy right out of you. You have to pick yourself up. You have to decide, maybe those questions, maybe it's not so much the question, but how you're asking them. The problem is those questions look backward. Momentum is about moving forward. Let's start by changing those questions. What did I learn? What matters most now? What can I control today? And it's those simple questions that can alter that next outcome. I discussed a little bit about how season 2 of the podcast was a bit of a struggle. There were some challenges that came along, but with those challenges that came along, there were some also incredible successes There was some mindset things that happened for me over the past year where I had to decide what was most important, where was my time most useful? What was I doing to better myself? You know, there were reclamation. Is that a word? Here we go again. I was trying to reclaim my personal, like my being, my person, and reprioritizing what was happening in life to ensure that the next 15 years are a climb forward, and that those next 15 years are productive and fulfilling, life fulfilling. And a lot of those questions came to mind. What did I learn? Thinking about, the different roles I played in life, career wise, what did I learn from it? And reflecting on conversations about how I prioritize time, what matters most now, what can I control today, tomorrow, and how can I push forward? So some of that is reclaiming control. After a setback, momentum begins with small wins. This is little things. Reclaiming even a sliver of control reminds you, I'm still here. I still have power. I still matter. Look for those practical starting points. Clean your space. Just reclaim your space around you. Decluttering physically helps you reset mentally. So take a look around you and notice what's out of place, what you have neglected for some time, whether that be in your house, your apartment, and your if you're younger, even just your room in the house you live in with your parents or roommate or whatever. Declutter physically helps you reset mentally. You kind of understand by prioritizing what is around you, you discover what's important to you, what makes sense, and create a daily rhythm. Even simple routines can create a daily rhythm. In December and January did a really nice job of reprioritizing our health. Jennifer and I were going to the gym on a day. We had dropped a bunch of weight. She did too, and we were really feeling good. And then the process of moving kind of derailed that a little bit, where we had to reprioritize and put our time together into the purchase of the house, the move, and we deprioritized our physical health. So we got out of that daily rhythm, and reclaiming that as we've moved has been more challenging for me than I think for her. She is back on a regular rhythm. I've kind of I'd made a decision a few weeks ago that I was finally going to prioritize my health, and on Friday I had a umbilical hernia surgery taken care of, and that's something I had neglected for 6 years. And I was thinking about, after the last podcast, I was like, holy crap, I just need to get this done. And it wasn't even after the podcast. I mean, it was before that I'd set an appointment with my doctor, had her, get me a new appointment scheduled to go get, like a pre-surgery consultation or whatever done. And I told the doctor I'd made it a priority. I wanted to get this taken care of. And I said, when I walked in there, I want to schedule this as quickly as possible, because I know if I don't, I'll continue to wait. And he said, and this is on a Tuesday, I believe. And he said, Friday? And I just kind of took a big gulp, and I said, yes. And there we were just a few days later. I'm in the hospital getting, having a surgery done. And that's the first time I've ever had something like that done. I've never really, and it wasn't like it was a major surgery, but I mean, they put me out, all that fun stuff. The hardest part, by the way, the hardest part for me was just getting the IV put in my hand. I don't know why I have such a big fear. I've never had a bad experience at a doctor's office, but getting an IV put in me freaks me out. So anyway, enough about that. Create that daily rhythm. I'm excited that now I have this physical thing taken care of. Now I'm in a place where once I'm healed from this in a few short weeks, that I can now get back on track, and I won't have that setback looming, because there was part of me that knew I had that setback looming over me at some point, that if I had momentum, I would not be able to maintain that, because I'd have a 5 to 6 week rehab of that surgery. So in the back of my head, that's there. And I realized I've got to get this taken care of. So it's a setback, but it was also something to prioritize. And to answer those questions, what did I learn? Well, I learned that if I continue to neglect the things in my life that are mentally a future setback, if I continue to do that, I'm going to continue to just put it off and never overcome it. And then I decided what matters most now is me getting my crap together, getting my health back in order, so I can drop some pounds, feel better, breathe better, and live a healthier life. What can I control today? I can say yes to that surgery, and that's what I did. And so part of that is that reclaiming of control. After a setback, after losing momentum, now I've got a small win. And let me tell you, the past couple of days, I felt like absolute crap. Yesterday, I got it done at 9 in the morning, 10 in the morning, something like that. And I felt terrible. Felt terrible most of the day today. And here within the past couple hours, I felt really good. It's Saturday, about 8 o'clock. Felt really good. So now I'm reclaiming a sliver of control. It reminds me, I'm still here. I still have power. And just to start with some, starting with a small practical point, cleaning my space. That's my space. My body is my space. I decluttered that. I got rid of that issue. Now we're going to create some rhythm here. I've got some momentum moving forward. Once I get healthy, I can move my body, start walking, stretch, riding my bike. It's going to reconnect me with those, small habits that are going to move me forward. Start watching my diet better and do all those types of things. For me, my health is something that I need to do better at controlling my food intake, my daily exercise, just my overall health. I want to live a long, healthy life. I don't want to be a burden to someone. So it's important to me to continue to move forward. It scares the crap out of me that, one of these days I may not be able to get around, and Jennifer's going to have to move me. Come on, man. I don't want that to happen. Think of it like, it's almost like this whole process is like moving a car. If you ever tried to push a car, that first push is so hard, man, just getting the momentum. But once it starts moving, just that momentum just takes it over, and it starts rolling, and now you just continue to push. And it's not like we're trying to see how fast we can push it, but we want to keep the momentum going. And there's an emotional component to that too. I mean, momentum isn't just about doing, it's about feeling. And setbacks can leave you numb, ashamed, or afraid. And I can tell you all three of those things. I've been asked by Jennifer to get that repaired for so long that I was kind of numb to it. I didn't want to take my shirt off. I was ashamed of it. And I was ultimately afraid of getting the procedure done. So, I mean, that's just that one piece, right? But that can translate to so many other things in our lives. You become numb to the clutter around you. You get used to it. Someone was talking to me about just when gosh, man, I'm going to put this out there. When principals are hired at different high schools, why oftentimes are they going to choose someone from not from that community or not from that that system. And sometimes they do it because those people become very numb or blind to what is happening. That culture, they get wrapped up in the culture, and it's no longer a priority to fix the culture. And so they find someone from the outside that has a different view, sees things that they don't see anymore, that they're numb to. And so, you know, that's part of building momentum, but kind of off track. But I want to talk a little bit about emotional momentum. And there are a few powerful ways to create it. Gratitude. Gratitude is not fake positivity, but noticing what is still good. And I had this pointed out to me. Ronnie Allhead, who's a principal at Madison High School, Madison, Indiana, he had made a comment to me that I didn't thank him when I would ask for help. And I didn't really think about that. I felt like I was pretty good at saying thank you, but I realized I wasn't being grateful. I wasn't just saying thank you. And not that a thank you is that important, but it is. It's not just for the person you're thanking, it's also for you. It's a noticing of what is good, and it's connecting yourself with that share of what has happened with someone else. When you thank someone, you are giving recognition to that person's good deed, or something that acknowledgement. And it's for both. It's as much for you as it is for them. And don't make it fake, or be genuine. When you notice what is good in this life, take the time to just notice the good things. You might be surprised how easily we can slip out of acknowledging the little things. Make a connection, share what happened with someone safe. Let the story breathe. Like for me, it's here, just sharing with you guys that, I'm scared to death of needles and surgeries and any kind of procedure. It let the story just breathe for me. And I think also, as I do this, I can tell my own hesitation as I speak it. And I'm going to say that we have to speak to ourselves like someone you love. Harshness kills momentum. Grace grows it. So I'm trying to practice that more. Things like just saying to yourself, what happened doesn't define me. What I do next does. Just because I'm scared to death of needles doesn't mean I can't go get my blood drawn to see if everything's okay, or I can't go get a procedure done to make my health better. If something tragic happens in life, it's not a defining moment. I mean, there are some defining moments in life. I mean, there's some DNA changing moments in life. There are things that happen in life that does define you in some way, but it doesn't decide who you become or what happens next. It is just part of the process of that. There's game changers. I get it. But it doesn't define you. You're more than one thing. I've discussed this more than one time. You're more than one thing. I try and think of it as things happen, a three-phase momentum model, maybe. Maybe that's the best way to put it. Here's something. Reset. Pause, breathe, accept what happened. Don't rush healing. And just remember, you can rebuild from denial. I'll say that again. You can't rebuild from denial. I think I may have said that incorrectly the first time. You can't rebuild from denial. When you are denying existence of an issue, you can't rebuild from it. You have to create structure as you're rebuilding and seek clarity. What do I want now? This is where planning meets power. It's when you choose a new direction. You rise, you take action, any action, just keep going. Let the energy of that motion carry you. Even imperfect steps are fuel. Think, like, you're going to make mistakes, accept that, and know that those are just building blocks to the next piece. You've got them out of the way. Think of this like almost like a fire. Reset is like gathering the wood, rebuilding is lighting the match, and rise is keeping the flame alive. Just continuing to fuel it and keeping things moving forward by throwing a little bit more fuel on the fire. Just that next step, that next run. I got a friend of mine that's running right now, and I remember when he started going out running, it was kind of like, it reminded me of when I started going out running a couple years ago, and it started out like he was running a mile, 2 miles. Now he ran like 10 miles the other day. I'm like, dude, Nick, you're killing it. Like, the guy is building momentum daily. And it's incredible to watch. It's fun to watch. But there are real life comebacks that you can achieve. I mean, think about that person who maybe has lost their job unexpectedly, and they're devastated. They spend a couple months applying for anything, getting no callbacks. Then one day, they decide there's got to be something, and maybe something triggers them, and they start volunteering, let's say at a local shelter or something, just to feel useful. And that may lead to a new connection. 6 months later, someone that person may have met there introduces them to a new role, and then they begin to thrive. Those setbacks become a setup, or folks after a terrible divorce, that they can feel like a failure. But that time can be utilized to reconnect with oneself, to take some classes, to try something new, to seek a different career path, solo hikes, going bike riding, learning to cook, taking some sort of class or something for the first time, giving yourself permission to live. That's momentum. It's not overnight, but it's real. The folks that maybe had a health or a job setback, and they just decided, hey, I'm going to make a change, and through the reinvention of themselves, give themselves permission to change their life path and to make that move, to offer themselves a lifeline to achieve the next piece, to learn to paint, to learn to cook, to go out and mingle with whatever it may be, job change, there's so many opportunities. And if we allow ourselves the permission, we give ourselves a permission, we can build some momentum. It may not be overnight, but it's going to be real momentum. But you have to take those next steps. What is your setback? Let me ask you that. What is your setback? Think about that for just a second. But more importantly, what's your next step? Because forward movement isn't about having it all figured out. It's about taking one step, then the next, then the next, then the next. Here's a simple challenge. This week, commit to one act of motion, one act of some sort of motion in life, positive motion. Sign up for that thing. Reach out to someone you haven't talked to in forever. Boy, how good does that feel when you reach out to someone you haven't talked to? And I think about this over the past few years, people I haven't talked to in years. It feels good. Declutter your space. Look around you. Pick up. Redecorate. Then I want you to write down 3 goals. Just write them down. What are 3 goals? For me, it's to get back to a 5K. That's one of my 3 goals. One of my goals this year was to prioritize my health. And part of that was having the surgery to repair my umbilical hernia. The other part of that is start running again, to bike. I have a 50-mile ride that I want to achieve this year. And, whatever it is, just move. Take a minute and just say this with me. I don't have it all together. I just have to keep going. I don't have it all together. I just have to keep going. Setbacks are a part of life, but they don't get the final say. You do. You get to have the final say. And momentum isn't magic. It's movement. It's intention. It's resilience. And the beautiful part is it builds on itself. Once you begin, you can continue it. And if you slip up, you get to start over again. So wherever you are, whether you're crawling, walking, or ready to run, keep moving, keep rising. Past couple episodes have been a little bit different than what we did before. I'm just looking at this podcast a little bit differently. And honestly, I'm doing what I need to do to speak my motivation, my movement into existence. And I've had some setbacks, and they're my own, that have prevented me from getting out and continuing the health path I was on. And it's for me, speaking this into existence is a big deal. And I hope it can help you. I'm wishing the best for you. Share this thing, and I'm gonna keep the podcast moving. I've got some cool guests coming up, by the way. So hopefully we'll get some guests back in here. Well, I know I've got a few of them coming, but yeah, I'll look forward to having those conversations and sharing them with you. And yeah, the Shik Show's back. It'll take us a little time, but I'm just building momentum, man. It's not magic. It's movement. It's intention. It's resilience. And the beautiful part, it's going to keep building on itself. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you. Look forward to speaking with you again next week. See ya.